everyone, and welcome to Gremlin Lord Live, episode 12, Anora and Friends. Today we're going to talk about Anora in the Lost Lands, Get Shorty, and the Rule of Jenny Penn. If you're here watching this as a VOD, there are timestamps down in the description below, so you can jump to the video that you want to see. Otherwise, let's talk about all of them. Okay. Silly me. Oh, my computer's like doing some weird stuff. Oh yeah, I deleted it. I deleted it, good sir. Yeah, you can start the videos. When you do lives, you can start the videos at 30 seconds in or whatever. People can rewind if they want to see you do the struggle part, but what is this? I don't know what you're doing, but it's bothering me. What are you doing? Anyway, so 4 movies to talk about. Which one should we start with? Prince, since you're here, I will give you first choice of movie to talk about first. Anora, as I thought you would pick. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. So we're going to talk about Anora, 2025. Academy Award winning Anora. Multiple Academy Awards, right? I don't need to see any more trailers for that movie. I'm already interested in it. I don't need to see anything else. Anora. Actually, it's 2024. I'm lying. Oh, is it on Hulu now? Correct. It is on Hulu. Male full frontal. Was there male full frontal? Anyway, let's see. What Oscars did it win? We know it won Best Picture. I believe it won Best Actress, right, for Mikey Madison. Where? Yes, Best Actress. Here we go. 147 wins, 264. All right, Best Motion Picture. Best Achievement in Directing, Sean Baker. Leading role, yeah, Mikey Madison. Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role. Oh, he was a nominee. Yoda Borisov. Best Original Screenplay winner, Sean Baker. And Best Achievement in Film Editing, Sean Baker. That's a lot of things. That's 1, 2, that's 5 wins, 6 nominations. That's crazy. Anyway, a young escort from Brooklyn meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Once news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as his parents set off for New York to get the marriage annulled. And that is what it's about. So the movie opens with nudity and strip club antics. And there is a lot of it. A lot of nudity. It's something, all right. I mean, tons of nudity. And, not that it bothers me, because it doesn't. But I don't know why I wouldn't expect anything less, considering what it's about. But, yeah, it was, yeah, definitely mostly female nudity. I mean, the main guy who plays Ivan, Mark Eidelstein, you see his bare behind quite often. And I think you may see his bare front when he does that little backwards roll onto the bed. But in the movie theater, you can't really rewind and pause. So, but the usual lady bits. Because we're in America and we're prudes. Can't see no naked dudes. Anyhow, where are my notes? There you are, notes. Yeah, you can only do it on Hulu in the uncut director's version. Would I watch it again? Probably not alone. If somebody wanted to watch it, I'd watch it with them. Basically, the movie is... Can I say the word sex on YouTube? I don't know. Basically, it's an hour of sex and partying. 30 minutes of searching for Ivan because he runs away. And then 30 minutes of the conclusion of the film. And that's it. Like, it's literally an hour of party time USA. And I mean, it's nicely shot. Like, I liked the cinematography and I liked the music. And, you know, there were some fun creative shots in it. Like, I do like that. You know, you just kind of got the feeling, all right, this is just going to continue along this way for quite a while. Obviously, it culminates with the marriage. They're married for, God, it feels like a day or two before everything else hits the fan. And he's not supposed to be married, obviously. He's, what is he, 19 or 21, I think? Maybe probably at least 21. So he's gambling. Basically, he's the son of a rich Russian family, oligarchs, and he's in America to go to school. And he has a caretaker who watches him or maintains his innocence, if you will. But gets married, and then he's not supposed to be married, and they want to get it annulled. Anora fights back. She does not want to get it annulled because she loves him, and they're in love. And she wants to continue. I already said I like the music. I like the party cuts, interesting angles. I'll be honest, I don't know why this won Best Picture. I don't know why. It's fine, but it's not something that is groundbreaking to me. Well, I mean, it doesn't have a happy ending, so I wouldn't go that far that it's Cinderella. Like I said, it's who would you prefer win? Win what? I don't understand the question. I don't understand the question. But Best Picture? Well, I don't even know who the nominees are. I mean, I know The Substance is one of the nominees. And I like The Substance. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't remember who the other nominees were, so. Don't look up the word nomination. Don't look up the word nomination. Open it in a new... No, you're not going to open a new page. Cool, thanks. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, Wicked, The Substance, Conclave, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2 was nominated? Really? Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, A Complete Unknown, and I'm Still Here. So I saw Complete Unknown. I saw Dune Part 2. I saw The Substance and Wicked, and then now Anora. I had to pick either The Substance or Wicked, to be honest. Out of the ones I've seen. And Complete Unknown was fine, but I wouldn't call it Best Picture. I didn't see Nickel Boys or I'm Still Here. And definitely not Dune 2. Good God, not Dune 2. And definitely not The Brutalist, because that used AI and doesn't deserve a damn thing. Including its Best Actor award. Anyway. So the movie is really just the first hour. It's literally just partying. They're in the clubs of New York partying. They're going to the shore and they're going to like an ice cream shop. Just enjoying themselves. It's literally just party, music, dancing, Ivan asks her to be his girlfriend for the week, which he gets made fun of, which is interesting because he's super adorable. Like, I don't know why he would have such a hard time getting a girl, but I don't know. Maybe because he's usually protected by like Russian thugs. But he's super adorable though. They were really cute together. So, but yeah, it was just a lot of the same, and I'm assuming that's for a reason. I mean, once the ending happens and the results of the marriage are shown, you know, it's kind of like, oh, but I won't lie, it got a little repetitive with how much partying and drugs and alcohol and all that stuff there is. There were some sweet moments where they'd be like on the couch. Well, you posted that, you shared that, where they're playing video games. You know, things like that were nice. But it was just a lot. And then once so Ivan runs away because he's caught that he's married and he's trying to hide from his caretaker people. It's really, there's a lot of humor in that section of the movie, but it just feels like a completely different movie, and it doesn't feel like there's any gravity to the situation whatsoever. You know, he have his caretaker who says, you know, we need to annul this marriage. We gotta find him and annul this marriage. You got Anora saying, I'll not do that. I love him and he loves me. We're never gonna do that. And there's like some fighting and stuff, but it's just, they go from like bar to bar to bar to club all night in New York. And that got kind of repetitive. It was just like, huh. And you know, they would throw the jokes in there and stuff, but just kind of, I'm ready to move on from this section. Like, where's the solution going? And then they finally find him. And then his parents come, and it's just, and there's some good tense moments in that last like 25, 30 minutes. But it just wasn't enough to really, I don't know, move me, because it, like I said, it was just party. Like, that's fun to watch. And then it was searching comedy, and that's fun to watch too. But is it like best picture fun to watch? No, I don't think it is. I think that this would have been, this is like a fun movie you can watch with your friends, you know? If this was marketed, I feel like this movie was marketed more as a drama. At least that's how I feel. When I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be like, have more dramatic stuff in it than it did. And the trailer to me said this people get married, they shouldn't be married, and then there's infighting and stuff. Like, it showed that, but I thought it was going to be more dramatic. And it really was. I mean, the ending is dramatic, especially the final scenes, but it just kind of felt like it's too little too late. You know? It's just like, oh, that's sad. Anyway, like, it's just so like, it just felt really surface level. I mean, Mikey Madison did a great job. Her role wasn't overly dramatic, though. Not that you have to be dramatic in order to get an Academy Award. I don't feel that way. But it really felt like a caricature of a character. Like when she's throwing her New York accent around. She's like, what are you doing? Get out of my face. Oh, we're married. And it's like, okay, I got it. Thank you. Like, it wasn't anything that, like, you couldn't take her serious in those scenes. It's just, I don't know. It's like something that I would do with a New York accent. I'm walking here. There's a lot of foreign language. I mean, they do have subtitles for most things, but there's a lot of foreign language, mostly Russian or Serbian, I think. Yeah, it is funny. Like I said, You can watch it, like, you and your friends, like, friends sit around and watch it. Like, it is good in that sense. It's entertaining. I'm not saying it's not entertaining, but it just felt very much surface level type of stuff. And they built up this character, the guy who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Borisov. He plays Igor. He's like kind of like a hired muscle dude who is there to keep Anora in check, kind of thing, while they're looking for Ivan. Ivan and Igor. Creative names. Very Russian. But he is a really stoic type of character. He's very calm. He apologizes a lot. Like, he's restraining her and she's just railing on him, calling him all these nasty names and slurs and like biting him and punching him, and he's just sitting there like holding her, and then he apologizes later about holding her. But there was always like this air of darkness about him. Like, I was expecting him to kill her, to be honest. I was waiting for it. But they spent all this time making him into this type of sympathetic character, and then in the end, he does something that I wouldn't expect his sympathetic character to do, and it was really odd. And then the movie ends, and I'm just like, I don't care for that. So, I don't know. Academy Award winner. I mean, I guess best editing. It could deserve best editing. I'll give them that one. But best picture, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. Oh, Anora. I mean, I'll buy it on physical when it comes out. And I'll find that male nudity, I swear. Oy. But I'm not the only person who's felt this way. There are people here on IMDb who are rating it like, did I miss something? This movie won 5 Oscars this year. Yeah, I don't know. Not the worst movie I've watched this year. That's for sure. I just feel like it's like a missed opportunity to add some depth to it. The trailer is kind of playing. I can't hear it, but it's playing. It has a rating of 7.6 on IMDb, which is actually pretty high. She's really fun, though. Mikey Madsen's in it. Like, she's really fun. Like, if you like watching 2 skinny white people make out a lot, then you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah, I went full Anora. Hey, that's practical effects, too. That is actually me doing that, so. I mean, he's a skinny little twink boy, and she's a thin young lady. See, this is the trailer that I saw in theaters, and it was, like, much more dramatic. I mean, like I said, he's cute. I think he's a cutie. And I think she has a very unique look about her. But, I mean, it gets a little boring. You do get to see a lot of New York, though, which is nice. It's definitely a comedy, though, not a drama. Anyway, so for a rating for Anora, what to say? Originally, when I wrote in Discord, I said about a 6. I'm feeling that's a little low. But I don't want to go super high. 7 would probably be the max that I would give it. I'm really leaning more towards a 6.5, to be honest, but except it's entertaining, but you leave it and you're just kind of like, all right, what's next? You know, like it doesn't stick with you. It doesn't feel like I've watched anything. Which you know, comedies can do that for you. Like there are comedies that we watch that I can quote a bunch of stuff. I can't do this. Like when I watched Napoleon Dynamite, which I know is completely different. That movie stuck with me. That movie had staying power. This, while even though I was laughing and enjoying it, I don't feel like it wasn't, I don't know, not unique enough. And I just didn't have that je ne sais quoi to really push it above. I definitely wanted more drama, but I also wanted more information about, is it Ivan? Sorry, yeah, Ivan's background and his family stuff to really show us why it's so bad that they're married. But kudos to her. I mean, I think that's her first nomination and win. Like it's always like it when they win on their first nomination. It's always so cool. It's gonna set you up for life because you're forever Academy Award winning actress or actor. It is. It is really big. All right, rating. I'll give it a 7. I'll say 7. It was entertaining, and I feel like I could rewatch it. It has some rewatchability for it. I mean, it probably won't be anytime soon unless I'm at somebody else's house and they want to watch it. Hopefully they're not family, because I don't really want to watch that with family. There's a lot of adult time in it. And who knows, maybe I'll get a little bit more out of it in a second watching. Maybe I'll interpret something. Because like I said, she does show emotion in it. Like, there is some drama. But it just wasn't as much as I thought it was going to portray. So, you know, so let's go ahead and rate it here on IMDb. Boop, boop. Yeah, I mean, I feel like most movies usually deserve a second watch, that you can get more out of it. Maybe not most movies, but quite a few movies you could watch again and get more out of it. Which is why I watched Longlegs twice. And when I saw Wicked 3 times. See? Those extra watchings really help out. All right. The next movie we're going to talk about is the 1995 film Get Shorty. A mobster travels from Florida to Hollywood to collect a debt and discovers that the movie business is just as sleazy as the Miami underworld. Hollywood, you know, your hometown. So I wanted to watch this movie because, well, one, it was on Prime, and Gene Hackman's in it. And, you know, as you know, Gene Hackman recently died, and I don't really know Gene Hackman from a lot of things. I know him from like the Royal Tenenbaums, and I think maybe one or two other things. And it's a movie that my dad mentioned quite a few times. I can remember him talking about it. So I was like, you know what? Let's watch it. So you have Gene Hackman as Harry Zim. He's a kind of a washed-up movie producer. He used to make some B-movie, low-budget monster films. You have Rene Russo, who used to star in those monster films as well. John Travolta plays Chili Palmer. Chili, like the pepper, which he says in the He's the mobster who comes from Florida. He's actually sent from Florida to Vegas to collect a guy in the debt. But then that guy from Vegas is actually in Hollywood, so then he goes to Hollywood. He has a great idea for a movie. We got Danny DeVito, who plays a very self-absorbed actor named Martin Weir, who is very insufferable, but funny. Dennis Farina, I don't know if you know who that is. I know him. He plays the mob boss down in Florida. Delroy Lindo, who I recognize, who I think he's actually in that new movie Sinners. He plays a henchman or a thug guy. And his partner is James Gandolfini, the guy from The Sopranos. He talks like this all the time. You know what I mean? He plays Bear. Oh, and Uncle Rico is in it. John Grease. Grease? Who I also know from Martin. But he's in it too. That's pretty exciting. So yeah, John Travolta comes to Hollywood. He's trying to find this person. Why is he in their house? Oh, because Harry Zim, Gene Hackman's character, is caught up in this money situation because the guy who owed the money used it to invest in one of his movies, and it's a whole thing. So the thing about this movie that I really, really like is that it's super layered, like a baklava. I wrote that in my notes. I was trying to think of something that's really, really layered. And it is. Like, there's so many little stories that go into each other. And I really like that. The problem with it, though, is if you miss something, it might mess up a bunch of stuff. But, the whole fact that he went from Florida to Vegas to do something, like, that's a layer. But then that guy's layer connects to something else in Hollywood. It goes over there. And then we find out a bit more, and we meet these two thugs and their own story, and then they cross paths with Chili Palmer, and it's like all these little interconnected stories that all culminate into one final thing. And I really like that. And then, like, all the way once you get to the end of the movie, there's like one final callback to something you saw, in the first 10 minutes of the film. And it really worked. No problem. I know you got your Anora. Now you're out of here. You got to see your little twink boy. And you're done. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Have a good night, Prince. But yeah, it's kind of Tarantino-esque, if you will. I don't want to say it's like Tarantino. I know people compare it to a Tarantino type of film. Just the way the little things all connect to each other. Bye, Prince. I do feel like Travolta's character, Chili Palmer, is kind of a cooler version of his character in Pulp Fiction. Meaning that he's wearing a black suit. He has a similar hairstyle. He knows everything to say, and he never gets ruffled. I mean, he's different than his character Jules in Pulp Fiction because, he's basically always ready for anything. So, he's not worried about a thing. Even when he has a gun pointed to his face, he knows exactly what to say. And I could see how that might get on people's nerves a little bit because it feels like there might not be any tension because he's so cool and perfect. I still felt tension because I didn't know what was going on or what was going to happen. So I was still worried, not worried, but I was still thinking, that he might get in trouble at some point. He didn't. Spoiler. Sorry, it's a 20-year-old, 30-year-old movie. Jesus, it's 30 years old. Yikes. Anyway, by the time I finally saw it. But yeah, I really like the layering of all the little things. The music I enjoyed, had a good soundtrack. Look, I'm a sucker for some, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music. I really am. I don't feel like it's as funny as people talk about it. Like my dad always talked about it being really hilarious. And I like to think of myself as a decent judge of movies. And it just, I don't know. I laughed, but I wasn't like, losing my mind. Also, how many times am I going to say, I wasn't losing my mind. I wasn't cracking. I wasn't slapping my knees. I would chuckle. Like, you know, stop saying But it's really it. I mean, it was still enjoyable, like 100%. I just didn't feel like it was the most hilarious film out there. That's all. But there's definitely a lot of humor in it. There were 2 times where I felt like the movie messed up, where a sound effect felt like it was missing. That's a weird thing to complain about. So there's a scene where a guy gets thrown down some steps. And it was really quiet. Like, it was to the point where I actually rewound the movie. I was like, wait a second. Let me go back. Did I miss that? And then I rewatch it, and he gets thrown down the steps again. And there's literally just like a... That's it. Because you expect when somebody falls down the stairs, you're going to hear, you're going to hear something. Or like his body hitting things. You're going to hear something. And there really wasn't much of anything. And then there's another scene where somebody gets slapped in the face. And it was very much non-existent. I mean, maybe they had the noise, a little slap or something. I don't know. But I didn't hear it. I was like, oh, did they get slapped? Let me watch it again. Sure enough, they got slapped or punched or something. I think punched because they were bleeding. And I was like, huh, how about this? It was just odd. I did like the pacing. It was quick, like I said, with these layers, they're throwing these things at you constantly. And if you miss something, you're going to have to go back and rewatch it. It's a very good cast. A lot of people in there that I know from other things. Very entertaining in that sense. Oh, I saw The Birdcage. That's the other Gene Hackman movie I've seen. There is a sequel called Be Cool, where Chili Palmer enters in the music industry. I have not seen that. I think it's available on Prime as well. That is much, much, much less well received. No, it's on MGM Plus, which I do not have. It also came out 10 years after the other one. Is it by the same guy? I don't know. This one has Uma Thurman. It has Dwayne Johnson in it. It has The Rock. Yep. Vince Vaughn, Andre 3000, Cedric Entertainer, Steven Tyler, Christina Milian, Debbie Mazar, Harvey Keitel. We got a whole little... Oh, Danny DeVito comes back a little bit. Wyclef Jean, Fred Durst, James Woods. Really a lot of people in that movie. Anyway, we're not talking about that one because we didn't see that one. But yeah, I think it's a very enjoyable film. I wouldn't mind owning this one on physical. I think it's something you could rewatch, catch it on TV, watch it through or whatever. I liked it. I won't lie. I was just expecting more humor in it than I got. Maybe I'm just super mature. My tastes are just so mature. But I think I'll give it a nice, solid 7. I know we just gave Anora a 7 as well. But I think we'll give it a nice, solid 7. Because, I was like, what's on my forehead? And it's on my phone. I gotta open my phone case. I don't know. It was entertaining, and it watching movies from decades past. There's always a bit of nostalgia in there. Like they're not running around with their cell phones, even though they could have had a cell phone, which I think maybe some of them did. But it's really just a way of like hapstance that happens where people go here and they just miss the other person, because they're not tracking them on their cell phones, or there's no internet. They're looking up things in the books. It's just something that speaks to me more, being that I'm old, and it just adds something to it where people have to rely on their charms and their intellect more than just stepping something up. I don't know. It gives it a little something. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Get Shorty, 1995, rated R, 7 out of 10. It's on Freevee. It's on Pluto. It's on a lot of things. It's on Prime. It's on the Roku channel. It's on Tubi as well. It's a lot of things. Oh, it's rated at 6.9, but we're gonna give it a 7, which it'll boost it up. That lady was a little weird. I don't know who she is. Who was she? Nikki, maybe? I don't know. It was funny. So the main cast, this is a little trivia thing. Only one person in the main cast name ends in a consonant, and that's Gene Hackman. You got Rene Russo, John Travolta, Delroy Lindo, Dennis Farina, Danny DeVito, James Gandolfini. They all end in vowels, which is really funny. Not that it matters. Just thought it was interesting. The next movie we're going to talk about is the 2025 sci-fi film In the Lost Lands, which is currently sitting at a 4.9 on IMDb. This movie, I wasn't expecting much. I'll admit, I wasn't expecting much going into this. I wanted to see it because I do like Mila Jovovich, and Dave Bautista's not bad. And I don't know. I was like, you know what? We could spend a couple hours watching this movie. Because it can't be terrible, right? It can't be terrible. Who's this guy? Simon Loof. I don't know who that is. Good looking, though. Jaras. I don't know who that is. Anyway. Alright, let's get what's it? A queen sends the powerful and feared sorceress, Grey Alice, to the ghostly wilderness of the Lost Lands in search of a magical power, where the sorceress and her guide, the drifter Boyce, must outwit and outfight man and demon. So Mila Jovovich's character is named Grey Alice, Alys. And I was just like, you're joking, right? Her name is Grey Alice. And her Resident Evil character's name is Alice. She played Alice in like 9 Resident Evil movies. And now she's playing Grey Alice. I couldn't believe that. I mean, not that they chose this, because this is based on what's his name? The guy who wrote it. George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. This is based on his short story. So, it was just, Alice? Really? Alice? It's cracked me up. It's very much... Oh, also, this movie is done by Paul W.S. Anderson, which is Mila Jovovich's husband, who is, or was, the director of most of those Resident Evil movies. So, it's them together again doing this film. And when you watch it, it has such a early 2000s Resident Evil vibe. I mean, the camera angles, the way the cinematography is like zooming in on stuff and panning out and showing us big, huge, like it screams early 2000s. Absolutely crazy. And I kind of like that. I mean, it does feel a little outdated, but I kind of liked it just for the nostalgia purposes. So that might just be a thing for me. You might not like it if you're not nostalgic for early 2000s cinema. Because I mean, I enjoyed watching the Resident Evil movies. They were all great, especially the later ones. But I still enjoyed them. There were movies I used to watch with my dad. We would go see pretty much every single one of them together. But yeah. So basically, Alice, Gray Alice, she is a witch who grants wishes. And she's kind of like a genie, where you can wish for something and you'll get it, but it might not be exactly what you want. So I guess you wish for $1 million. And she says, okay. And the way that she grants it is by killing your entire family in a plane crash. And then now you can sue the airlines and you can get your money. So yeah, you got your $1 million, but at what cost? It's that type of situation where every wish has a strange like downside to it. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, it's nothing new, but I liked how they kind of interwove it together. And there were a couple wishes there where, I mean, I won't spoil it for you. I wasn't expecting the twist of the movie. But basically, the queen that's in power, she's married to the king, obviously. And he's some old geezer, and she's waiting for him to die. She's trying to produce an heir. And she wishes for the ability to be a shapeshifter. We don't know why. She's just wishing for that ability. So Alice is like, I could do that for you, but it's going to come at a really high cost. She's like, I don't care. And so, but then another person says, I need you to fail the queen and not get it. So Alice says, okay, I could do that for you, which is really odd. So she takes on both missions. One, to get the queen the powers, and the second mission, to not get the queen the powers. So it kind of creates this like conundrum and mystery. Like, how is she going to honor both wishes? How is she going to do that? She does it. But so for me, I will say that this film should not be a film. It should be a television series. Through and through. This should be a streaming or premium channel television series. 6, 8 episodes would have been so much better. Simply because there's so much jammed into this film. So they give you a little bit of backstory about what world we're in. The world is over, we're on Earth, and the world sucks. It's post-apocalyptic, and there's like a zealot religion that exists, and they're like Christian. Their cross has a couple extra things on it. And they want power, but then like the king has power, and they kind of coexist together. But there wasn't enough background information. I mean, they could have gone into so much more background stuff, like what happened in this Great War, or how did these factions get into power, like what is happening, how does city life function, because they mention that everybody lives in this central city. And it's like, okay, how do people live in this city? Because outside of the city is the Lost Lands. So I wanted more. I wanted more background story on things. And as Gray Alice and Boyce, Dave Bautista's character, as they go on their journey, they go to multiple locations because they have to get to their destination before the full moon. So the way the movie's set up, there's like a ticking clock thing that shows the moon entering the full moon phase. It goes from like waxing, waning, and all that. And I thought that was a cool visual, but it happened a lot. And it just felt like if you could chop up each of these locations, because they go to like 6 locations in this movie, you know, the sea of fire and the ocean of tears or whatever. They all have like these dramatic, sad names. Some, you know, destitute stuff. If you could have made an episode of each one of these locations, it would have been so much better. We could have explored the locations more. You could have gotten more lore about the story, meet maybe some people, some stragglers who are living in these areas. And then as they're getting hunted by the religious folks, there could have been more epic battles instead of just like, quick gun battle, and we're on our way to the next location. Quick gun battle, and we're on the... Like, it was a lot of stuff in this movie that I feel should be in the movie. I don't feel like they could take that stuff out because it's all part of the journey. It just needs to be expanded so much. And I don't think making multiple movies about this one thing would have worked because there's just not enough, you know, because you would have the movie cut off in a weird way. I mean, unless you do like a Dune thing where it's like part 1. But I don't think they thought this movie was going to be very successful, which it's not. So I don't think they're too worried about doing a sequel. Although George R.R. Martin said that he will not mind doing a sequel, which is kind of funny because according to IMDb, this movie made $3 million. Three. On a budget of $55 million, which is an insane flop. And $1 million of that was an opening weekend. And it's not a bad movie. Well, okay, it's a little bad. It like I said, it is this very early 2000s vibe. It's kind of cheesy. You know, Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista, they talk in this fantasy language type of way. Like, and you will do that for your soul. I will do whatever it takes to get through here. You know, like, it's very fantasy to be fantasy way of speaking. And while I'd expect, like, the priest to talk like that, which he does, maybe they wouldn't talk like that as much to each other. But it was I'm sure people will hate that. But again, to me, it just kind of felt nostalgic for the kind of corny action movies from yesteryear. But I like the action sequences. You know, if there's one thing Mila does, is great action sequences. So kudos to her and her stunt team. I mean, I think she's like about to be 50, right? Dave Bautista, again, he did well with his action scenes. He tried to be a little dramatic for some of his roles, some of the parts of the movie. It was fine. You know, I don't think he wasn't as good in this as he was in, like, Knock at the Cabin, where his dramatic end there was much more pronounced. But this is more of a sci-fi film, so it maybe doesn't translate as well. Mila Jovovich does her usual, you know, staring at you, mouth partly open, like a model, because she used to be a model. And I don't know. She has a very distinct look when she's doing these type of movies. Like in the trailer, she's shooting fire out of her hand, and it's the face that she always makes, like, ah! It's the same face she made in Resident Evil. Ah! You know, it's just the same thing. And I love her. Like, I do. I really enjoy her. I mean, and she's beautiful. Even, like, still now. Not even. That sounds negative. She is a very beautiful woman. It just kind of cracked me up. And again, it fulfilled, like, this this innate need I didn't know I had for like a nostalgic action movie. Visually, the action sequences like the visuals, but the CGI is, I don't know, maybe at the bare minimum point of goodness. Like it wasn't, some parts were actually pretty bad, where it looked like a character was just in front of a green screen. So, and even some of the stills in the movie, it looks like that. Like I'm looking at a still right here on IMDb, and it's very much CGI looking. This is not a movie that's going to age well. It's not. Probably in another year or two, this movie's going to look terrible. And people are going to be like, this movie, oh my god, this is like 1990 CGI. That's what they're going to say. And obviously they'll be wrong because it's not 1990 CGI. But it's not going to age well at all. There's so much CGI in this movie. It's actually kind of crazy. But I mean, with a budget of $55 million, you know, you're not going to be able to build these huge sprawling sets because a lot of the stuff that they have is very big and very sprawling. I mean, there's obviously physical sets, but again, with the nostalgic panning out of things, like they'll show the two characters walking, and then the camera will pull out from those two characters walking, and you see more of the world, and you can almost see the cutoff of the physical sets that they're walking on, like the road, and the CGI-ness on either side of it. I mean, I know that'll bother a lot of people who recognize these things like I do. To me, it is what it is. Like, I'm not super concerned about it. When I have issues with CGI looking really bad, I bring it up. What movie looked really bad CGI? Was it The Last Breath? I think we talked about the CGI in that. No, CGI in that was fine. One of my more recent reviews, I talked about the CGI, and I didn't care for it. But yeah, this is probably going to rub some people the wrong way. The CGI in this. If you just take it for what it is on the surface level as an action movie, I think you'll be fine. It'll be something that you can enjoy. The story is not some crazy epic film. You know, it's not Game of Thrones style stuff. It could have been, like I said, if they made this into a longer series and George R.R. Martin was involved with it more for that aspect, because it's only a short story. You know, if he was able to be there and help expand these things out, it could have been a really great limited series. I 100% believe that. And I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to watch it because it'd probably be on the channel I don't get. But it would have been really good. Just the whole setting up the scene in episode 1. Each location is its own episode. Then the big finale conclusion. And again, these could be hour-long episodes. Like, can we do hour-long episodes? I know it probably costs a lot of money. But good God. Like, an hour is not that much, is it? I mean, how long are episodes of Game of Thrones? Are they an hour long? I've never seen it because I don't have that channel. I would assume they're at least an hour, maybe 45 minutes, maybe. You know, because some of these shows, they try to give you a 30-minute episode, and it's like I know that's the standard. Well, not really now. It's like 20 minutes episodes. But, like, I get it, but it's like, this is streaming, bro. Make it a bit longer. You don't gotta cut as much. It's there. But, I don't know. In the Lost Lands, rated R. Some of the CGI was fine, though. Yeah, would have killed it as a series. Yeah, same. My notes. I don't know. So if you're looking for a movie that can tickle your nostalgia for early 2000s type of action movies, this is it. It is still very bloated, and there's way too much in it to be one film. But I was entertained. I wasn't expecting the twist of the movie, which happens sometimes. Sometimes I'm just so invested in what's going on the screen, and I don't really pay attention to underlying subplot stuff. But I think it all worked out really well. There was a lot of like dramatic moments. Again, would have been great for a finale episode, an hour and a half long. But I think it's just such a missed opportunity. I would be utterly surprised if they made a second one of these. Like, it would blow my mind if there was a second one of these. I really wish Mila would get into some other stuff, though. I know she took a break, she raised her kids and all that. I really wish that she would be in more stuff. I don't know, I just like seeing her. You know? I feel like she would have been good at the role of the mom in Dune, who's played by... Who was the actress who plays the mother in Dune, guys? Do we know? She was also in Dr. Sleep. I'm looking up now. Rebecca Ferguson. Because when I saw Rebecca Ferguson in Dr. Sleep, I was like, ooh, she kind of looks like Mila Jovovich. But I like her too. That could have been a nice Mila Jovovich role. I mean, that movie doesn't have really great acting in it anyway, so it would have been fine. Anyway, so for a rating for this movie, In the Lost Lands, my rating is going to be much more generous than most people are probably going to give it, okay? Because I enjoyed it. I wish it was more than it was, but I enjoyed it. George R.R. Martin intended the original story to be the first of a series of stories centered around Gray Alice, which you want to do as a single volume. It could be a good video game series, really. They made us do a video game. That'd be kind of cool, too. Kind of like Witcher-esque, and maybe you could play as both Gray Alice and Boyce. Him being more guns and brute strength, and her being more magic or spells and stuff. That's a good idea. A confusing mix of action and banter. It is rather a confusing mix. I do agree with that. I do like, I don't know these people's names. How do you pronounce A-R-L-Y? Arlie Jover. She plays the Enforcer. I liked her. Fraser James. He plays the Patriarch, which is the leader of the church. I liked him too. Like, they play these roles pretty well. But again, it's just a lot of stuff. So anyway, rating. As I said, on IMDb, it's sitting at a 4.9. Which I see people doing. A 5 really is middle of the road stuff. Sorry, the trailer. See, there's that CGI stuff. Anyway, I'm going to give it higher than a 5 because I think it deserves more than a 5. Again, remember, I'm being generous because I liked it because it tickled what I didn't know I was looking for, okay? I am going to give it a 6.5. There. I said it! 6.5. Of course, IMDb doesn't do halves, so we'll round it up to 7. But it's very much like if you were to rewatch like 300 right now, like that type of CGI stuff where like the backgrounds all have that like orangey brown tint to it. It's very much in that type of vein of action films. And if that's something you're looking to, I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, people talk about how much they love 300, right? Have you watched it recently? I bet you'd be surprised at what it's like. But yeah. In the Lost Lands, 6.5 out of 10. All right, the final movie we're going to be talking about here today for this live is The Rule of Jenny Penn. And yes, that's a really weird title. Confined to a secluded rest home and trapped within his stroke-ridden body, a former judge must stop an elderly psychopath who employs a child's puppet to abuse the home's residents with deadly consequences. Rated R. I knew nothing about this film. I read the description, and I saw the cast list of John Lithgow, Jeffrey Rush. And I said, I'm going to watch that. And let me tell you, it is an interesting movie. I watched that movie and I felt so much emotion watching this movie, which is weird. So this is like a IFC Shudder film, right? Kind of like how Late Night with the Devil was. So this isn't like made to be like a huge release film. Watching the trailer gives it more of a like horror vibe. To me, I find the movie very horrifying, but it's not a horror movie in that sense. And I'll talk about why. You know, there's not like jump scares and monsters or blood or psychological like thing. You know, like it's not your typical horror movie type of situation. But to me, and this might just be a person-to-person basis, it was very horrifying. It deals with very heavy topics like healthcare and terminal illness, aging, and death. And I wasn't expecting this. And I'm just going in thinking I'm going to watch some kind of goofy-ish B horror movie type of situation, which I could see John Lithgow doing. Maybe not so much Jeffrey Rush, though. And I think that was really the odd part. It's like, I can see John Lithgow being goofy because, you know, he does comedy, he does drama, he does all those things. He does it all. But Jeffrey Rush, I usually picture more as being a more serious actor as opposed to a goofy actor. I know he was in the Pirates of the Caribbean and such, but I just didn't think of him in the, like, slapstick type of way. But, whew. I have a lot of I actually have the most notes for this movie than any other movies. There is some spooky stuff in it, but it's not really the main focus. And of course, you know, I enjoy seeing older actors do things. That's why I like watching those book club movies with all the old ladies or Grace and Frankie. Like, I enjoy seeing older actors still creating art. Because it kind of makes me feel good and it gives me some hope, you know, that if you just don't lose your passion for it, you can still continue to create. And I like that. Like John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. I do. How old is John Lithgow, though? I do want to know. I want to know that. How old is he? He's 79. And it's important to know. Because he is quite spry. Jeffrey Rush is 73. He's even younger. Like, he's almost 80 years old. And some of the physical stuff he does in this movie is pretty crazy. I mean, granted, it may not all be him. But this isn't really a type of movie that has a lot of CGI in it. Okay? It's a very low budget type of film. So he does like a dance in it where he's kind of raising his knees above his hips, like a high knee situation, which a lot of people my age can't even do. So seeing this nearly 80-year-old man doing this, I was like, damn, John Lithgow. And there's even a scene where he runs. I can't even run now. And he's running. It's crazy. And again, I love that. They did give John Lithgow some weird contact lenses. I mean, he already has blue eyes, I'm pretty sure, right? He's a blue-eyed guy. Color of John Lithgow's eyes. Oh, his hazel eyes. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought he had more blue eyes. But his contacts did look a little weird sometimes. I mean, I know he's supposed to probably make him look more spooky, but on occasion I was just kind of like, I don't really like how that looks. Not because it's unsettling, just because it looks fake. Anyway, his name in the movie is Dave Creeley. Jeffrey Rush's character is Stefan Mortensen. Judge Stefan Mortensen. Now, the home that they're in, the recovery resident home that they're in, is in Australia, I believe, or New Zealand. Might be New Zealand. So everybody has an accent. It's kind of weird because, I mean, Jeffrey Rush's accent's more British sounding, and John Lithgow's accent is more, it's kind of the same, but it was just interesting because a lot of the other actors had accents, and I thought it was kind of strange. This is a more Australian accent, by the way. It's not very good, I know. But some of the other characters were kind of hard to understand, like some of the orderlies or the nurses, just because of the accent, because they use Australian lingo as well. Like, I'm more familiar with British lingo because I watch a lot of British comedies and stuff like that. I do like Kath and Kim, which is Australian, but they do use other lingos that I was not as familiar with. Jeffrey Rush is really good too. He really tapped into the loss and emotional side of the film. So you have John Lithgow being crazy psycho side, and you have Jeffrey Rush being the, well, I guess he's kind of a butthead in the beginning, but he kind of becomes like the soul of the film. And there is another actor who's in this with him, and he is, I think, Maori. Nathaniel Lays, who plays Sonny Assange. I think it's him. Let me double check before I. Is it him? Maybe it's not him. I don't know. There's his roommate, Jeffrey Rush's roommate in the movie. Maybe this is the guy, actually, now that I'm looking at this guy. God, can we get some recent pictures here, people? I think it's George Henar. I think it's him, not the other guy. Is he New Zealand? Yeah, he looks like he's from New Zealand. But anyway, there was a joke that John Lithgow made in a movie, and I could not understand what he was trying to say. I thought he was saying Marys, which is a slangy term for, you know, gay people. Like, oh, he's such a Mary. But he was saying Maoris or Maoris, the indigenous people of New Zealand. Maoris. And I was like, oh. I was like, he's just being a racist, like, bad person. Okay. So that was interesting. The thing that this movie does really well, it gives you really good insight into what it's like to be a stroke victim. So Jeffrey Rush's character has a stroke, and they really delve into that. I mean, of course, they show you the rehab stuff, him going through like physical therapy for his hands and things like that. But they go into these things that are called blips, where he loses time because in his mind, right, he'll be at his therapy and he'll be talking to his therapist. And while the conversation is still going, we see visuals of other things happening. So maybe he's over here and he's eating his breakfast, but he's still having a conversation with the therapist. And it's kind of all encompassing. And then the next thing you know, we're in his room and it's nighttime. And he's like, what's going on? Because he lost that time because of his brain being injured from the stroke. And it's like, it's such an interesting way to see it, because we often don't think about people who are victims of strokes in that way. You know, we think, oh, they're really out of it today. But in his head, he wasn't out of it. In his head, he's having this conversation with his therapist. You know, he's doing the exercises of drawing the clock, and he's doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing, and then boom, he's somewhere else, and that startles him. But if he were to talk about it with one of the orderlies or the nurses, they're basically going to say, oh, you're having a bad day, mister. You're having a bad day today. And it's like, yes, it's a bad day, but that's not what's happening. I'm losing time right now. And it's a very interesting angle for this. And when you combine that with the fact that John Lithgow's character is terrorizing everybody in this place, it makes it much more frightening. And like I said, this is what I mean by the movie is horrifying, because then you have Jeffrey Rush's character who is blipping in and out of moments, but he's in a moment where John Lithgow's character is terrorizing him, and he'll blip into something else, and he blips back into it, and it's just this juxtaposition between the two scenarios, and it's scary to think that can happen to your mind, but there's no way of relaying that information to others. And I'll get a little personal. So this affected me differently because my father has a brain injury, and this made me think of when we talk to him, does he actually hear us? Because there's no way of actually knowing if he hears you, because he has brain activity, but he can't respond. So it really kind of hit closer to home for me because of the situation my dad was in while I was watching this movie. And it made me change the way that I approached the situation with my dad. When I visited him in hospice, I actually talked to him. And as if he was there, because like I said, I don't know if he's understanding me. Maybe he might be in a blip. Of course, this might just be an optimistic way of looking at a terrible situation. Like, oh, they can hear me, they hear me. And I'm like, that could be all that it is. But it's my opinion, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I talked to him as if, he could understand me. And if he does, spiffy. If he doesn't, there's no harm done, So, like I said, this movie really hit harder with me because of that, because of his situation when I watched it. And again, dealing with death and that type of situation, it made it heavier to me. But I do feel like some people probably watch this and probably think, wow, this is kind of corny. This isn't scary at all. And it's not scary in that sense. It does have its issues, okay? Let's not say that it's a perfect film, because it's not. There's the issue of John Lithgow's character, Dave Creeley. So he is a resident. Okay, he's not a ghost character. He is a resident of this place. And this is like a slight spoiler. And I guess I'll pick up the spoiler gremlin. So I'm going to hold this up while I talk about this. Okay. So basically, they give you some background story on him, where he used to work in the same residency place. So he used to be an orderly or a caretaker in this location. And they're showing you a series of pictures on the walls showing him being at these places. Great. So I'm like, oh, good. We're going to find out. This is the big revelation of the film. We're going to find out why he's here. Sorry about that. But we don't. We don't, because they're going through these pictures and it's like 1980, 1975. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going back. I was like, is it going to go back to like 1922 and show that he's some type of supernatural person? No, it doesn't do that. And it doesn't explain anything about his background. They don't explain anything else other than that. Just that he's been there for a long time. And now he's a resident. We don't know why he's a resident. We don't know anything else about him. I mean, it does explain why he's so good at getting around the building undetected, because he has intimate knowledge of the place. But, it's just... There's like my hair on the alien, on Gremlin. It just wasn't enough background story on his character. Yeah, Gremlin down. And that brings me to my next point about this home, is that nobody's keeping track on them. So John Lithgow's character is basically not mentally well when he's around the nurses and stuff, so he doesn't really talk. He doesn't do much. So they just think of him as this harmless person. And then at night he becomes a terrible person and invades people's spaces and, terrorizes the residents. But no one sees this. None of the nurses, night nurses, day nurses, they see any of this action. None of the orderlies see any of this action. Security doesn't see any of this action. He's going in and out of these doors. Secure doors, too. He has a scanner thing. Nobody notices. I guess the doors don't track who goes in and out of them, which is weird. The fact that his key card still works, that is weird. The fact that there aren't any cameras in this entire place, that is weird. You would think they would have cameras in case a resident falls or there's a medical emergency. You can go back and review the footage. All these things. There's nothing there. And I didn't like that angle. I thought it was kind of a lazy way to tell the story. Because these places have cameras. Come on. They do. Because it's for safety reasons. So the fact that he's able, it would have made more sense to show him being sneaky around these things than to just show him doing whatever the heck he wants. And that's what I think. I really don't understand why he has free reign over the entire facility. And I'm talking like at night too. Like he's out in the yard at night. And it's like, it's one thing to be in the hallway. It's another thing to be outside on the grounds of the home. Unattended, no one's watching, no cameras. That's weird. And there's a lot of plot points that go into this type of idea, and to me that kind of, you lose some of the plot because it's the unrealistic nature of this place where somebody could just run rampant. That I did not enjoy. I like how it doesn't know the word Lithgows. There's no accountability for it whatsoever. But it did have quite a bit of realism of the struggle to survive. So Jeffrey Rush's character is trying to recover from his stroke while also being terrorized and trying to survive John Lithgow. And like I read in the description, there are deadly consequences. Like Lithgow has killed other residents, and made it look like an accident or something that they did. So this is a very serious thing that he is trying to survive. But Lithgow is using the fact that he's a stroke victim against him because he knows that he can't physically fight back in that way. And it's much. And that brings us to the name of the movie, The Rule of Jenny Penn. So Jenny Penn is the name of the puppet or the doll baby that John Lithgow carries around throughout the film. He almost always has it on his hand. He takes it off to take a shower. But that is Jenny Penn. That baby doll head is Jenny Penn. And it is kind of creepy. I won't lie. It doesn't have eyes, which is kind of creepy. There is some CGI with it, so it does show some expression sometimes. Um, but yeah, it's weird. And there's a part in the movie where he requires the residents to be subservient to the doll, which is the rule of Jenny Penn, right? She's ruling the facility, Jenny Penn, the baby doll. So they have to show their subservience to it. And I know that people will watch this movie and they'll see that part and they will either laugh or think it's stupid beyond belief. And I get that. It's kind of like the things that I saw in Longlegs. It's creepy and awful if you are in the right mind for it. So I did chuckle the first time he did it. And he asked for this subservience. I won't tell you what it is, but I did chuckle. But after that, I just kind of sat there and I was like, this man's really crazy. And these people are doing this and they're being terrorized. Like, this is a really freaky thing. Again, it's horrifying as opposed to a horror situation. I was just like, oof, man, like, what on earth is going on? But there's a lot of positives about this film. So many positives. It made me feel uneasy. It made me uncomfortable. It made me sad. I did cry. I think it's the only movie I cried watching all of these. I didn't cry in Anora. I did well up a bit, but I did not cry in it. And I did not cry in The Lost Lands. Or Get Shorty. But this one I definitely shed some tears. Because, like, again, that might just because I have a connection with my father who was in hospice and this movie and my obsession with death and getting old and being injured and not having people to, like, care for you and all that stuff. So to me, it just kind of speaks to me on a higher level than that. It's currently sitting at a 6.5 rating, which is good. It's actually not that bad. I'm pleasantly surprised by that rating. I really am. I'm going to go a bit higher, though, with my rating, because I don't think it's quite high enough. I will say that this film deserves an 8 out of 10. And that probably seems really high. I was really invested in this film while watching it. And it's so unexpected. I went into this movie completely blind. And it makes you uncomfortable. It makes you analyze your own mortality and the mortality of those who you love. And I really credit that to Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow. Like, they really knock it out of the park here. And look, it's even in the trailer that they're showing him working there. Yeah, there's some supernatural things in there, but it's not a lot. Profoundly perverse. That's an interesting way of putting it. I think I'll agree with that, to be honest. There are a couple funny things in it. I mean, there's a couple little chuckles here and there, but it really is. It's heavy. It's a heavy film. I don't think I can watch it now, again, so soon, since my father passed, but it's definitely something else to watch. And I would suggest to anybody, 100%. So that is The Rule of Jenny Penn. 8 out of 10. That's our highest rated film for today. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. The one I knew the least about, I liked the most. And I don't think it did really well. Current box office numbers. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see what's going on in the world. I guess we'll do Mojo. That's not what I want. I don't care about that. Let's check for the month. All right. So Mickey 17's at 201 million. That's good. Wait, what? This isn't what I wanted. This is March. I want yearly. Can we do yearly? No, this isn't it either. Worldwide. I guess this will be okay. Let's see. Let's find Penny. Penny's not. It's not Penny. It's Jenny. I'm such a goofball. There it is. Jenny Penn. $400,000. That's all it's made. $400,000, which is really unfortunate. But again, I know it's a limited release, and it's basically a Shudder film put into theaters. It's kind of like Late Night with the Devil. Let's see. Anora is not listed in this because it was technically a last year's movie. In the Lost Lands, $3 million. It is $3 million. That is astounding. That is such a huge loss. Holy moly. That's insane. $55 million to make $3 million. And it's probably already leaving theaters. I think it's still playing at mine, but good God. Like Love Hurts only made $17 million. Last Breath, $19 million. Hard Eyes, $32. Wolfman, $34. Companion, $36. What the heck is The Wizard of Emerald City? Even Flight Risk made $43 million. God. The Monkey made $57. Monkey wasn't that bad. Wait, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, that was released in theaters? I thought it was like a Peacock movie or something. Captain America is just sitting at 390. And the movie Neza 2 made $1.8 billion. $19 million of that is in the U.S. 1.86 billion is foreign. That's a animated film, I believe, about Neza, which is like a god person. They're in Smite. Anyway, so those are the movies we're going to talk about today. I just kind of want to show you some of the physical medias we bought recently before we head off here. I did buy this Chronicles of Riddick, the complete collection DVD from Amazon. It was on clearance. It includes all 3 movies and the animated film. And apparently they're making a 4th film. My sister told me they're making a 4th film, and I looked it up, and they are. Which is insane. Because this movie, it's been like 12 years since the last one. And originally, hold on. There's dates on these, right? My hair falls in my face. Anyway, it's a really long time between the films. Especially... Mother Puss Bucket. Especially the 3rd film from the 2nd film. The first 2 were together. Pretty close. And then the 3rd one was like a decade later. And I could do another one? Crazy. But anyway, there's that. And these are unrated cuts, which I haven't seen the unrated cuts. I bought this movie sight unseen. It's called Kill. It looks like an Indian movie. I looked up the reviews for it. It had decent reviews. Said it was ultra violent and ultra gory, which I was like, all right, I can do ultra violent, ultra gory. It is from India, it looks like. I don't know if it's actually... It has English subtitles, which is fine. But yeah, so I heard it was really, really violent. Basically, good guys are on a train, bad guys come onto the train, and a bunch of fighting ensues. This huge thing right here is Rambo, the 5-movie collection. It's actually a really cool, it's really white, I don't like that, but a really cool box set. Live for nothing, die for something. Got it at Walmart. It's all 5 movies on Blu-ray with digital copies. I've never seen a Rambo. I've seen part of Rambo, the 4th movie called Rambo. Because technically the first movie is called First Blood. So I saw the parts of the 4th one. It's very gory. And I'm curious about it. I am. And I think these are the R-rated versions. I don't think they're uncut or anything. But from what I saw of Rambo, it was very, very, very bloody. But I'm excited because like I said, I've never seen this. Another big, huge movie set is the Denzel Washington Collection, Volume 2. This is from Walmart. So we got Training Day, which I have never seen. The Pelican Brief, which I have never seen. The Book of Eli, which I've never seen. Malcolm X I've never seen. And then Fallen. So there's 5 movies here. I do hate that it's literally a stack of 5 movies, though. I don't know if you can see that. It's literally 5 DVDs in this one nub. Terrible choice. Terrible. It should be like a page in there. That's how the Rambo one is. It's a page inside. But it's Walmart. What can you expect? It's cheapy. I mean, I've never seen any of these movies, so I'm pretty excited to see some of them. Especially Training Day. I mean, I hear so much about Training Day. My man. Is that from Training Day? And I've heard of the Pelican Brief and the Book of Eli. I never got to see that. I wanted to see that. And of course I want to see Malcolm X. Fallen? I'm just not so sure about Fallen. It says it has John Goodman in it. And Donald Sutherland. And James Gandolfini. Look at that. And then the last one I got in honor of my friend Venner. 4 film favorites, classic comedies. National Lampoon's Vacation, which I've seen. Blazing Saddles. Finally, I own Blazing Saddles and I can watch it. Now, this is the 30th anniversary version, which is funny because it just celebrated its 50th anniversary, which means this is a 20-year-old DVD. And it is. It's from 2013. Caddyshack, which I have not seen either, but Vetter's always telling me to watch. And Spies Like Us, which is Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, which I've not seen either. I've only seen Vacation. So I can finally watch Blazing Saddles. The movie that makes it would never be made today, as people always say. And Caddyshack as well. So I'm pretty excited about these. Spies Like Us is rated PG. That's interesting. Wait, but National Lampoon's Vacation is rated R? What? That can't be right. These have to be switched. Hold on. Let me check IMDb. Spies Like Us. 1985. Rated PG. Is it really just kind of slapsticky comedy? National Lampoon's Vacation. It is rated R. I mean, I guess Beverly D'Angelo does show her full frontal upper stuff, so I get it, I guess. I just wasn't expecting that to be rated so rough. I also already own it on DVD, but I could take a second one so I can get Blazing Saddles, Spies Like Us, and Caddyshack. So, but anyway, that's it, kids. That is it for our YouTube Live. It actually Knocking on wood, the internet survived, so that's always a plus. We had some issues there in the beginning, but that's that. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like it and subscribe, please. You know, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps my channel out here. And we'll be back next week with our bargain bin movie film, which, if you're still here, I'll give you a sneak peek of what it is, so you don't have to wait for the video that's coming out tomorrow. And that movie is going to be A Quiet Place Part 2. I picked it out today from the bargain bin bag. Which actually, all these movies are going to go in the bargain bin bag, aside from Riddick, because I've already seen it. So yeah, so that'll be our movie for next week. And yeah, I look forward to making it for you guys. So thank you for everybody who came out to watch. Anora got a 7. Get Shorty got a 7. The Rule of Jenny Penn got an 8. And In the Lost Lands got a 6.5. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. We'll be on Twitch probably tomorrow. All right. Thanks. Have a good day, or night, or whatever.